Andrew.
Yeah, is this thing on?
Oh shit! Now I have fingerprints on it.
That's what you get.
Oh, here I have a.
Jose, where'd you go? Okay, he's back.
All right. Let me share with everybody that I know. Obviously, I gotta share the stream. Very important.
You need to use your connections now. Like, you need to use those.
My boss.
The yellow boots connections or
Yeah.
what? Or what?
Can you share this? Can you share this with Bud Iger?
Hey, I've been listening to this quaint little podcast. I think, I just can't help but I've been sort of like slipping under his door. I don't know how you would slip a podcast under like the URL on a page.
It's a QR code.
It's a tiny URL on a page, and it leads to our Podbean account, but it leads to what's not the public account, but like our actual account, so he can like manage the episodes and shit.
He automatically gets admin privileges.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. It's the administrator account.
Oh man. Okay. Hold on. Post it to our group. Now I'm gonna post it to the Dungeons and Dragons D20 Orlando group. And now I'm gonna post it on the Dungeons and Dragons Quinta Edición group.
Oh my god. Don't forget the Dungeons and Dragons. Like what's the name of your street? That group.
Yeah. The Maitland group. The Downtown Orlando group. The Kissimmee group.
Mm-hmm. You got to get that Kissimmee group. We need the backwater people.
Yeah, for real.
Don't forget Frostproof. All 5,000 of them.
And then
what is the population of Frostproof now they say that?
The Forgotten Realms group.
Yeah, Frostproof.
Man, Facebook is doing just slightly slow sharing right now, and it's scaring me. I was like, oh, it's gonna.
Holy shit! What? I overshot it. Frostproof has only like less than 3,000 people.
There's a town called Christmas around this area.
Called what?
Christmas.
No.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of trailer park. It's a trailer park.
Yeah, that's like there's a town called Hollywood, and I'm like, that's probably the trashiest fucking place in Florida.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah. Oh wait. Let me get myself settled.
And welcome to another episode of A Talk of Opportunity. I hope you all are having a great Sunday. And it's not Sunday. It's actually Tuesday. Because we keep pushing back our recording date. Because I can't handle life right now. I think I'm going to just jump off a bridge or something.
You said Saturday, and then that didn't happen. And then you said Sunday. And then we agreed on Monday. And then you're just like, you know what, dude, I can't do it today. You just kind of like gave up on me.
Hey, but we're here. It is a beautiful Tuesday at 6:53 p.m. In Orlando, at least. I don't know if it's raining over there. It was raining somewhere.
I do not want you. I don't want to hear you complain about fucking crunch after this episode because you did it to yourself.
I know. Right after this, I'm gonna just like edit it and put it out tomorrow.
And then you're gonna be like, "Oh God, these assholes made me edit an episode literally the day before it comes out." And it's gonna sound like, and you're gonna publish the episode. It's gonna sound like it's fucking underwater, and we'll be like, "There's nothing we can do. We're just gonna have to salvage it."
That's probably what's gonna happen. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about crunch time in companies that don't deserve it. We're talking about the most glorious part of D&D, the part that everybody dreams of, the part that takes absolutely no time at all and keeps the game moving forward at all times. You know what that is, Andrew?
It's totally not the part that where 6 seconds get stretched out over an hour and a half because people are like, all right, it's your turn. Okay, I'm gonna hold on a second. Then like go back to the spell list.
If you haven't guessed it already, we're talking about combat. Woo! Now play the music. Click. Andrew.
All right. Combat.
Wait, we can't talk about combat just quite.
Okay.
We need to talk about the other most important thing in our lives.
We've made that joke like 5, maybe 6 times.
It's
now.
not a joke. I'm talking about beer.
Oh.
Awkward. What are you drinking today, Andrew?
I'm drinking.
What is quenching your thirst?
You're not gonna be happy with me.
Oh my god.
I'm drinking water.
Oh.
only because listen, I started on a diet, okay, and it's pretty severe. I'm only eating like half the calories I would normally eat, and I'm in a perpetual state of hungry. I'm so hungry, guys.
It's okay.
Please,
least-
mail me some pesto. My mailing address is.
At least you're trying to take care of yourselves.
I hate it.
You want to hear what I'm drinking, or you don't want to know about it?
Sure, go on ahead. It's probably delicious.
It's TV. Papaya milkshake inspired sour ale with lactose.
All right, take a sip of it, and I want to smell your breath. Just like that way I get the.
It doesn't work that way on the internet.
What did you have today? Oh, you had chicken parm. Let me smell your breath.
Look at that pour.
Stevie? What is it?
Stevie's with 2 V's. Oh, I can smell the lactose totally.
A Stevie?
Stevie?
A Stevie?
I'm gonna call it Stevie. That is peculiar. Don't know how I feel about that.
All I know is that Sunday is my cheat day, and it's going to be a hell of a fucking cheat day. Like, I'm talking like chicken and waffles for breakfast.
Lunch and
like,
dinner.
Deep fried pizza for lunch.
Oh, man. All right, Andrew, let's get to business. I know you don't have the energy, and you're gonna faint anytime soon. So we gotta get.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up. I'm already starting. Everything's starting to go dark.
The microphone looks like a leg of chicken of turkey. Andrew, no, don't buy into it. All right. So we're talking about combat. Andrew, combat.
Let's get down to business.
To defeat the nuns.
Okay. We're going with the nuns joke again, huh?
Yeah. That one I've done like a million times.
Yeah. All right.
Combat. Tell me what combat is. What is
combat? Okay, so once there was a man and 2 men named Cain and Abel.
Oh.
And Cain's like, you know what? I've had enough of Abel's shit, and he took a rock and he bashed his fucking head in. Whoa. And that was the start. That was the start of combat.
And we haven't stopped ever since.
Where God said roll initiative, and Cain got a surprise round and did sneak attack damage to fucking one shot at Abel.
We roll a crit.
Yeah.
So that's the history of combat.
Okay, so combat. Yeah, a brief history of combat. Ever since there's been 2 warm-blooded, not even warm-blooded people, ever since there's been 2 living things in a single biome, there has been violence. You want to talk about the history of violence? Anyway,
yes. Let's talk about the. No, I'm just kidding. All right, combat in D&D specifically.
The history of violence, billions upon billions of years ago. In the mitochondria, where the cells fought for power. Anyways, so combat in D&D is one of the 3 pillars, quote unquote, of D&D. The other 2 being exploration and I almost said socializing, role playing. And it seems to be, especially in 5e, the one pillar that they've put the most emphasis on, kind of. A little
bit more than the others. I could agree with that.
Yeah, well, definitely a lot more than exploration.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I don't think it's as bad as 4E. Because 4E was like a whole like video game engine type stuff.
4E was 4E felt like a weird. I almost want to say like alpha of like 5E, where they're like trying some things out. Like, okay, no, we're not. Okay, we're not doing dailies
Are you
anymore or
are
anything
you
like
are you
that.
are you telling me that D&D, the Wizards of the Coast, did a chipped out a broken game and patched it?
Yes.
Wow. A lot of people are gonna disagree with you, and I can't wait
Well,
for that.
I mean, 4E did some things right. I really like the minion rule in combat, but in terms of like its combat, yeah, it's really bogged down. However, we're not talking about 4E. This is not that podcast. We're not going to be bitter old men complaining about stuff that happened yesteryear.
Back in my day.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about actual combat. So in 3.5, how combat works. You roll for initiative, and then you just hope to God you don't fucking die. In every round, you just think whatever God your character prays to.
Yes, and then you also make plans, and then by the time it gets back to you, the plans are obsolete now, and you have to.
And you hope to God your character does not step foot in a puddle because they will get infected. Like that's how 3.5E works.
Oh really?
No.
Oh okay. I was like, jeez. Yeah, if you spend X amount of rounds in a puddle, you get athlete's foot, for sure.
Yeah, you get trench foot, and if it's something that's like, oh, you were going through like some like razor vines earlier, you have a cut on your foot, so you had to make a Constitution saving throw to make sure you don't get infected.
No, before that you had to make a perception check to see if you realize that you have a cut on your foot.
I think you would know if you have a cut on your foot. You can feel
sometimes
it.
you don't know when you're like. Remember when we used to play airsoft? Fucking run through the jungle and then you get out and you're like, yeah, and then you look at your arms and it's just like a fucking like cat just.
Well, that's your arms. I don't give a crap about my arms. I can tell there's a cut on my foot because I'm putting pressure. Anyways, we're getting off
It's only been 10 minutes and we're already talking about nonsensical things.
Okay, so combat in 5e, it's pretty simple. It's just two parties or two entities. They duke it out, they roll initiative, and then they swap blows.
Right.
With using their abilities or attacks or spells or what have you.
Right.
A lot of people seem to forget about the surprise round.
Yes.
Which is something I really like to use. It's always something. Well, no, fuck it. I'm just gonna say it. if I really want to be particularly mean, I'm always like, okay, stealth. Like, that's why I always ask like to have your guys' AC, passive perception, and something else. There was something else I wanted
marching orders
to like always, huh?
Marching orders.
No, well maybe marching orders, but always something that like I wanted to have like next to the screen. So I know, like, okay, I have to beat this guy's passive perception. Oh God, arrows are coming out of the woods. So, like, you never seen it coming, you know. And now you guys roll for initiative after you take, 3d12 piercing damage from the goblin arrows. But the one thing, okay, so everyone knows, anyone that knows anything about D&D kind of knows how combat works. Like that's not what this podcast episode's about. We're not going to explain. Okay, so what's initiative? No, we're not going to be.
We're not shit.
No, we're not going over initiative.
Three pages of notes about this explanation of how combat works.
The etymology of initiative.
Fuck.
Initiative comes from the Galatian word initiativa, which means to take charge of. I have no idea.
I will believe that.
Yeah. No, the problem I have with combat is that unless it's weirdly one of those aspects that you don't think would be a lot of work. Like you just think, okay, combat, just let the dice do the talking.
Right.
But it can very quickly like a DM can make the most mundane fight, like a DM can make a street fight seem exciting, but another DM can make a sweeping battle against a red dragon boring, and it really it's like like I know I've always said like I want more role playing and more exploration, but that's only because I'm afraid of how much work goes into combat. Because combat is really where like the rubber I feel where the rubber meets the road in terms of DMing, because it's like you got to be firing on all six
Yeah.
to really make
Yep.
like a memorable battle
Yep.
happening.
I agree.
You know,
I agree 100% with that, because I feel like a lot of people forget that they they go into a Final Fantasy swooping, like, you're walking to the overworld and
yeah.
now
All of a sudden,
and
the
now it's
glass,
just
the glass.
yeah, 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 exactly. And then it turns into like and I've done this before too, but it just turns into a, okay, you guys go, now they go, now you go, now they go,
Now you
now
guys
you
go.
go,
Now you guys go.
and it's like the
Now you
worst
hit.
feeling, because
You
I'm
hit.
like, why is this? First of all, why is it taking so long? And also, why is it not exciting? You know what I mean? And I've been there million times because I catch myself doing it after I'm done with it. And I feel that the point that you just said is that I feel like people do forget that just because you enter a combat encounter doesn't mean that all the other rules of D&D disappear. They're all there. They're role playing. They're using the extra actions, the talking. It's not just like kill them all and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like it's everything. It's still D&D, but me included. Once you say roll for initiative, it becomes a turn-based JRPG for a lot of people.
And I think it's really important to reiterate what we said in the last episode. D&D is very much not a video game.
Right.
It is not a turn-based, like, okay, we'll let the stats do the talking. Like, no, there's still going to be things happening. Like there, it's weird because Teresa was rewatching Game of Thrones yesterday for some fucking reason. I don't know why.
She wants to be disappointed again.
I guess. I'm like, you knew what happened. Anyways, and we were rewatching the fight where Bronn defends Tyrion in the Trial of Combat in the Eyrie.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the very first time that Bronn fought for Tyrion, and I'm like, this battle's a lot more exciting in the books because you don't see everything happening. Like the way like George R. R. Martin describes it, it's like, oh, it's like as if he's fighting a man and encaged in steel, like he can't get a hit on him, kind of a thing. And it's just like it creates like this really good imagery. No, Steam, go away, Jesus Christ. Steam's like, you want to log in now? You only had the computer on for 30 minutes. Anyways, but it really like kind of forces the DM to like, okay, I really need to crank up the narrative so that way the pacing doesn't become, okay, he hits.
Right.
No, okay, you miss.
Right.
All right, he hits. Right. And it's just, and I personally, and we're all guilty of it. Well, I'm not going to say that we're perfect and we know we've cracked the code on how to make combat exciting.
Andrew, I'm perfect and I cracked the code on how to make combat exciting.
That is not true.
Wow, you're not supposed to hurt my feelings.
Anyways, but I mean, there's nothing more to me disappointing as a DM than like, oh man, I this combat's gonna be so cool. Like I've planned it out, and like you're like round 6 in, and everyone's eyes are kind of glazed over.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, let's just have the HP for these monsters so we can just kind of get the show on the road. Yep.
So what are some of the things that you can introduce into your combat that will make it either more dynamic or more entertaining to make the time pass faster? Because let's be honest, especially if you're doing Roll20, like sometimes when you're rolling so many dice, Roll20 just chugs along, and it takes, even just rolling the die takes a while. Not even like the whole like, what are you gonna do? What is gonna be your action? None of that stuff. So
well, I think for it's really important for you as a DM to remember small details about your players specifically. So like for instance, let's say you have a monk and a fighter.
Right.
Okay, and it's a strength-based fighter. He's wearing heavy armor and like a shield and whatnot. All right. An orc attacks each of them. Like let's just say there's 2 orcs and they're each fighting their own orc. All right. The orc misses both the fighter and the monk, but you don't just say you miss. Like you have to think, okay, how did that orc miss? And it's like, well, the monk is going to have more dexterity, so naturally he's going to be dodging it, and because it's monk, he's probably going to be like flipping over it and doing like acrobatics and whatnot, or sort of like martial arts kind of moves. So you need to narrate it as though. And if it's something that's like your AC's 18 and it hits a 17, you need to describe it as like, oh, you feel like the wind of the blade rushing as it barely misses you, as it just like shaves like a little bit of your leg hair off. But then inversely, if it's the fighter with the heavy armor, okay, they have an 18 AC because of the armor, not because of their dexterity.
Exactly.
So maybe the attack lands, but it doesn't hit anything vital.
Right.
So then you would describe as like the orc's battle axe like glances off your pauldron or something, or like it strikes your like breastplate, but you just kind of like you just kind of sit there and laugh in heavy armor.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a good point, because I try my best to like remember like, oh, Orin is very tiny, or Warforged is very tough and can't feel things, the orc is very ugly, like that kind of stuff, like just to like add a little bit of flavor to each one of those blows.
Yeah, and I mean it gets a little difficult when you have classes like the Barbarian, where it's like your AC is your Constitution, so it's like you're just taking the hits even though you're bare chested. So I guess it's something that's like in his like rage-filled adrenaline, he doesn't feel the pain or some crap like that. I mean, so it's not to say it's not challenging, but there is still ways to make it exciting, and to kind of keep the pace like up. And I think another thing too that makes combat a little bit more intriguing is to allow movement within the range of your enemies, because attacks of opportunity, the rule for attack of opportunity is that if you move outside of the range of your enemies, then they get the attack of opportunity. So if you're still within that 5 feet reach of them, you're fine.
Right.
So I mean, it's like if you ever watch like an actual, like not an actual fight, but if you watch like a fight in a movie, it's never two guys just like swapping hits. Unless it's something like the last fight, or like the last fight against Higgs and Death Stranding.
Oh yeah,
it's like that's the drama, because they're both at like 3 HP and they're rolling super low. Like in which case that's a different thing altogether. But normally they're gonna be like sidestepping and feinting and stuff like that. Especially if you have characters with high dexterity. Which I mean, personally, if I was a DM and it was like you have like a dexterity based class or something like that, and I say the attack misses, I'm like, okay, I'll give you a free 5 feet as long as you don't move out of the range of whatever it is you're fighting.
Right.
That's
a good perk. I like that. I might use that.
I mean that way it's like, okay, you can kind of like maneuver. So it could be something that's like, you're not facing the cliffside, but you want to push this guy over the cliff. Okay, so you dodge his attack. Oh, okay, you move a little bit 5 feet, and like, okay, you just keep moving a little bit more, and then you fucking kick him off the cliff edge. But then there's tension, there's buildup. There's it, and like the one thing I've noticed, and it really bothers me, is that there's a lot of people, and I'm not entirely sure if it's just like people are unaware of how attack of opportunity works, but it's like, okay, I'm attacking this guy, that's it, I'm locked in, I don't move, I'm locked in, and it's just like that's like half your turn there. If you don't move, I mean, you could still maneuver, you could still move through the opponent. That's not gonna, and I would say, even if moving through the opponent or moving around the opponent, if that does give an attack of opportunity, rules as written, I would hand wave that. That's fine. I'm not gonna. No. You got to have a little bit of,
flexibility.
You got to have a little something there. You know.
Yeah. I got a couple of notes because I took notes this time. Right.
Okay.
All right. So here's the first one. Are you ready?
I have notes too. Hold on. Go on.
Okay, so one of the easiest thing you can do, and I think I've done it a couple of times, is stagger the Fights. You know what I mean?
What do you mean Stagger the Fights?
So the party, encounters a group of kobolds. And yeah, we got it. It's 3 of them. And they start attacking it, right? And they kill one of them. And as soon as the first one goes down, 2 kobolds just showed up above you. You know?
Yeah.
And then they keep going, oh shit, we're very slowly getting surrounded if we don't take care of this. You know what I mean? It's not like, and I fall prey to this. It's not like, there's a cave and there's 5 enemies. All of them are in the center of the cave. No. Stagger the enemies. Let them come, not all at once, but they come from different rooms. And I know sometimes it's especially when you're doing a module, because you're trying to keep track of everything that's going on in the dungeon, per the book. It's kind of hard to keep track of their movements, but just pull those tokens in. Just bring them in. Very very slowly. It will. The goal is to take the cockiness of the players and crush it. Because
it's. No, sorry. Go on. Finish your thought.
No, I was just saying it's Leah. I was just saying that the I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. It just no. Mia got on my under my chair and pushed me.
Okay.
Yeah, it surprised me.
Lost your train of thought. But I think you kind of touched on a pretty good thing, and that's the fact that you still have to face ramifications and consequences, especially in combat, because it's something that's okay, let's say you're in a stereotypical goblin hideout and you come across a table of goblins and they're playing poker. I don't know why goblins playing poker is my go-to scenario, but still. And so the wizard's okay, I got this fireball.
Right.
Okay, well that fireball, the explosion will make a noise. It's not it's not a silent movie.
Right.
So you're definitely going to be alert, even though the spell does not say it makes a loud explosion.
It is an explosion.
It's a fucking explosion. Exactly. Right. So people probably outside of the goblin hideout are going to hear it. So people within the goblin hideout are definitely going to hear it. And it's an important thing to remember that even low level enemies are intelligent. They're not just going to fumble through the door spilling out. Well, they might, but that could be its own thing. Maybe your kobold scenario, a flood of kobolds, and you're oh shit, this is a lot more kobolds than I thought it was going to be in here.
But that's, hold on, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's another thing too as well, because you said it, most creatures are not dumb, and this is something that a lot of us fall prey to is, oh man, the battle is going, it's been 45 minutes, the party already knows, they're gonna kill these dudes, what the fuck. Monsters, 2 things. Monsters are not dumb. Most of them will not fight to the death unless it's something very crucial, like their kids are in danger or something like that, like a human. They have that even in real life, the predators, once the creature that they're hunting down is too much of a trouble, they just leave it. Fuck that. Yeah. Type situation. I mean, it's completely okay for 2 goblins after the party killed 25 of them to be nope, fuck this shit. They don't pay me enough for this, and you just walk away. That does 2 things. First of all, it makes the battle more dynamic because it Chris, can you close the blinds? Because they look outside and they growl. Stop. It makes the battle more dynamic because now it's not just we killed them all like we were supposed to. No, there's oh shit, they're scared of us. It makes the players feel really good, and then they run away. And you can develop that into something else, they're gonna follow them and kill them. Maybe they're leading them into an ambush. That type of stuff. And the second thing is, it makes the last killing those 2 less makes the last bit of the battle just go by way faster, because you don't have to go, oh, it's your turn, oh, you miss, oh, it's your turn, oh, you also miss, oh, it's a turn, oh, you hit, but it's not dead yet, so we have to go again. You know what I mean? It takes down 2 enemies at once just because they got scared. So it makes the 45-minute battle maybe down to 30 instead.
Oh yeah, and there's been plenty. I mean, you really have to think about it. There might be some moments where you're DMing in combat, and you just have to stop and think, how would I react to seeing this?
Exactly.
And honestly, it just describing the change of mood in combat can make all the difference in the world. I mean, like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but here we go.
Here
But
we
it's
go.
like,
Here we
no,
go.
no, no. Well, I mean, think about it. Okay, so I want you to remember how different it felt killing a vampire spawn in Valaki versus killing the vampire spawn outside of the Amber Temple, where it's like the vampire spawn in Valaki were like cocky
Right.
and like, okay, you're the prey. Oh no, I got overpowered. How could
Yeah.
this happen? Versus the vampire spawn outside the Amber Temple, where it's like, no, you are fucking murdering these people. Like, this is a slaughter, and it's just like, and and like I noticed that like people were kind of reveling in the bloodshed, and I'm like, oh, but that's kind of the point. It's kind of to show how much you guys have
Progression.
progressed and stuff like that, and how the same monster 5 levels ago was like a threat, and now you guys are just mowing him down. But
Yep.
outside of that, I you touched on something really great where it's like, yeah, there are probably going to be traps in the enemy's hideout, and it would it's like, why wouldn't the enemy be using those traps on you by any means? No, not any means necessary, but it's like, oh hey, oh no,
Right.
let's run away, and I hope they don't follow us into the secret vault that we have down here.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know.
It's man, and I'm gonna say it again because I fall prey into this. It's like we tend to boil it down to like, oh, you hit, oh, you didn't hit, oh, next turn, like, and it kind of sucks because there's a lot more in the basic player's handbook. There's something that even and I'm pretty sure my players keep forgetting. There's a shit ton of cover and shit all around the maps.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Terrain. Everybody forgets about terrain, but
Yeah.
that's totally a thing.
And I wanna give credit. I mean, it might be the fact that like I don't describe it enough or whatever, but as a player, feel free to always be like, hey, is there anything here that I can take cover? Or hey, is there anything here where I can get on top of to get advantage on like a drop? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the map is flat, but that doesn't mean that there's not. If it makes sense to be there, it is gonna be there. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Like,
tell me, you want to get on, if there's like a high rock, so you can get on top of it, so you can like come down, double knives and kill this dude. I want to allow that because that's fucking cool. Anyways,
I mean,
terrain is very
I
important.
mean, oh yeah. I mean, you get, if it's like a bar fight, like a good old fashioned tavern brawl, like, you use your attack action to kick a chair into a guy. Okay, that dude's staggered. He's going to like he's probably going to fall prone. If we're going by rules or something like that, or he's like probably going to like lose his next turn
Well,
if he like fails a deck save. Or
even
something like that.
like we don't have to worry about rules, and in reality is quote unquote theater of the mind. Like, does it make sense that if a guy gets hit, if a commoner gets hit by a table, do they go down? Yes. If a troll gets hit by a table, does they go down? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Like, it's keeping the what's it called, this not the story, the story going. It's combat is not an encounter. Combat is something that happens because of an encounter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. I completely understand what you're getting at. Like, it's I, like going back to the chair kicking thing. Like, there are rules for improvised weaponry,
Right.
and that's where you just, okay, yeah, okay. So you're going to be using your strength presumably because you're going to be kicking the chair at the guy, and he's going to take X amount of damage because you fucking kicked the chair at him, and it's also important to remember, just like what you said earlier, that just because combat happens does not mean the rest of the rules just kind of fall away.
Right.
Like, what if you're in that like perfect scenario of there's a gelatinous cube and it's slowly coming up to you, and you guys are way under leveled to be fighting this thing. Okay, well, there's a room behind us. We've never been in there. Okay, so now we're going to be mixing combat and exploration. Like, you guys have X amount of rounds to find a way out
Right.
before this thing comes and
Right.
eats you.
Yeah, and simple things also, and I've done this, but because the book told me, not because I came up with it. Like the campaigns, but like simple things like, bro, you're in somebody's fortress and you're in battle. One of those guys probably smart enough to go to the next room and call for backup.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in any sort of like camp battlement, hideout, whatever, pretty much safe to assume that there is some plan for getting back up. Like there's an alarm, or
Right.
somebody has a horn,
Right.
or someone's just like, "Oh God, help!" Like runs off into the other
A
room
cry
or
of
something like
desperation.
that. Yeah, and that kind of it, and it sort of reinforces the idea that like you don't have to kill everything when you're in combat. Like sometimes combat is just, oh God, I accidentally tripped the alarm. Okay, we got to kill this guy before he runs against the other guards. Okay, now stop killing.
Right, 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 right.
You know.
And here's the thought process that I have for you. A thought experiment. You enter a dungeon and you see, you describe to your players, oh, the goblins. You see a bunch of goblins, and then the goblins just snatch their weapons, and then they what's it called? They they scream a battle cry, and they charge. Roll for initiative. How can you make that better?
How can I make that better?
Yeah. Before the battle even starts.
I mean, I would probably describe like, okay, how are you guys like entering the room? Like, is it going to be silently? Are you guys going to be kicking down the door, kind of a thing?
Right.
And so if it's silent, like maybe as you're sneaking up on these goblins, you kind of hear them like swapping like kind of like war stories kind of a deal. Like, oh, I caught a fish and it was this big and stuff like that. It's like, no, you fucking, I was there. You did,
Right.
But then if it's like if it's like you guys kick down the door, like someone literally kicks the door in and just push, and like reduces the splinters as the goblins were eating their meal, and there's like a second of silence as like you hear like a fork clatter.
Yep. Yep.
Like you really have to set the mood.
Yep.
Of what you want to go for.
And I think you hit it right in the head. Is that give the story just a little bit of breathing time before fight starts, so you can give the players a better or more options on how to proceed with the encounter. And also, hold on, before going back to like the example I gave, maybe perhaps instead of just reaching snatching their weapons and doing the battle cry, maybe perhaps change it into something about like the goblins start approaching their weapons. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget, as a DM, you have absolute control over pretty much everything about the game. Like you can slice time down as thin as you want it.
Yep.
So it can be something that's like you can either describe it as, oh, the goblin snatched a weapon and start like firing bolts at you, or it could be like oh, you see the like the what's it like their eyes like kind of like zero in on you and stuff like that as they slow and like or as your eyes perceive it, like start reaching for the weapons, and like you can see like the fierce intent in their eyes to cause harm, and that's when okay, wait a minute, maybe we can diffuse the situation.
Right.
Which I mean, it's when you're in combat, you also want to incorporate the other pillars in there as well, like because it's all right. If you're a level 5 party and you're going up against an ancient dragon, that mentality of everything we encounter must die needs to go out the door real quick.
Yep.
unless you guys like making more characters like me. So, I mean, because you still have all of your skills, you still have persuasion, you still have intimidation. I don't think you're going to out-intimidate a dragon, but
you could try.
I mean, but yeah, exactly. You still have all your charisma rolls, you still have your intelligence rolls and stuff like that. So you can like, wait, I'm going to use my turn to try to like smooth talk the dragon into maybe letting us go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you're not in its lair or anything, so you might be able to talk your way out of the situation. Let's see what you roll. Okay, you roll high enough. Like, you might do the whole like, okay, what do you say thing, to kind of get like a conversation going, like a dialogue. But it's like, okay, you can walk away from this mostly unscathed.
Right.
You know,
Right. And
there's going to be one guy that's going to try to take a swing at a dragon. They get fucking misted, you know.
yeah,
But still,
so yeah, you can definitely like slow down time as much as possible, but by the same token, you can speed it up as much as you want. Andrew, how many times have you been in an encounter where like there is, I don't know, it started with 25 zombies and now there's only 3 left, right?
oh my god, yeah.
There, there's
Let's
there's
talk
three
about.
there's 3 left, and zombies don't usually back away because they're zombies, so you have to kill them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
shipping away the stupid zombies' health, like it drags it out. I read this online, but I will make it essentially into a like once it's obvious that there's no way that they can win, I mean, that the zombies can win, just be like, oh, and with haste you dispatch the last 3 zombies. Boom.
Yeah,
Saves you 20 minutes of rolling for something that's obviously gonna happen.
with haste.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there, but you can also do something like, are are you familiar with the minion rule in 4E?
Yes.
Okay,
Vaguely.
so something like that, where it's like all the stats apply for the enemy except for they have 1 HP. And so they're still going to have their AC. So if it's like something like a 20 AC, you still have to roll pretty high to hit, but they got 1 AC. So if it's something that's like, if first of all, if you look in the monster manual, I think like a zombie has like something like 30 HP, which I mean for like a high level party like 15 and up, 30 HP is nothing. You can,
Right.
a meteor storm can wipe out, God, a fucking football field of zombies. Now to think about it, that might have been overkill. Um, but I mean, if it's like a level, it's like a level 5 or like around there party, 30 HP is like almost around too much of combat.
Right.
Like you want to have something that's like I said, it's dynamic. So the appeal of zombies, especially zombies, I'm actually kind of glad you touched on zombies. The appeal of zombies is that they're not dangerous as a whole, but I mean, they're not dangerous as like a singular unit, but when they start to swarm you, that's the threat. So applying that minion rule, if you're going for something like an authentic, quote unquote, like Dawn of the Dead zombie scenario where it's like, oh, there's a sea of zombies. Having each of those zombies have 30 HP is asinine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're just asking to bog down the combat. No, that's where it's just okay. I like all right, let me see some attacks. All right, you're cutting a swath through these zombies like as you're like literally carving a path through them. And like don't at that point don't worry about the HP,
Right. Right.
and there have been some scenarios where I'm like, all right, we're gonna half the HP of this monster just because this fight did not was not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. Like, oh, okay, this is kind of starting to sound feel like a filler arc.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
No, it's a total valid point. And as a DM, you can be like, it's obvious that this guy is don't present a threat, and yeah, just be like, well, wave it away. Obviously with a good storytelling moment, but
mhm.
make it pass by.
But I think another thing you can do is have that like you can like roll initiative but there's not actually combat. Like let's go back to that like ancient dragon thing. Like okay, you see the dragon like flying around like over the top of the forest. It's obviously scoping for something. That's when you start playing the tense music
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You roll for initiative. It hasn't found you guys yet, but what are you guys going to do? Like you can use your initiative round to either find cover or prepare an attack for if it does find you, because it's going to be using like its perception abilities to like scout you out or something like that. And so what this also does, this has the added bonus of establishing a threat, because this thing you can just kind of, as it's flying over, you can kind of describe like the power that this thing possesses, like the presence and whatnot. And it's just sort of, you're kind of giving your players like like an out. Like, okay, this is your this you have one round, or maybe two or three, but you have one round to decide: do you actually want to push this button? And nope. I'm gonna use my action. I'm gonna dash out of there, or I'm just gonna hide, or something like that. Okay, the dragon flies away. Blah blah blah. You're not like it didn't find you, or something like that. But if that one asshole's like, I'm gonna shoot it,
Yeah, there's
it's like,
always one.
all right, here we go.
Yeah.
I hope you guys invested in deck saves. So
Yeah, you ain't getting too far with the dragon. Um,
no.
Andrew, I have a question for you because I read this online. How do you feel about just removing initiative completely?
How
So
so?
so there's this guy called the Angry DM or GM.
Okay, I'm familiar with
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
work.
He wrote an article and he was talking about they got to make combat better and stuff like that. But one of the main points that he went through was and I can't remember right now the name of the RPG that he mentioned, but there's an RPG where there's no initiative order. That combat happens as part of the story, and it is told there's not like, oh, roll for initiative. It's just like you enter a room and then it will be like telling a story but with combat. What makes sense. What makes sense is going to happen first. The fast creature is going to attack first, or the slow gnome going to do first. You know what I mean? And it's more of like a I can't think of the word. Not rotating. Not the
Is
like I
yours
said.
or mine barking?
That's yours.
Oh,
Like
damn it.
dictating that like dictating the what's happening through the story without initiative, just as I collaterally I can't think right now. I'm hungry. Um, like everybody's telling the story together. You know what I mean? Like it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just like, oh, he's closer to him, so he's gonna attack him. Then the players go. It's up to the DM to figure out who's gonna go first. But there's no initiative, and it makes the encounters feel more like, or the combat encounters feel more just like regular encounters. It doesn't break the game into the middle. Because let's be honest, when combat happens in D&D, it does the swipe and like
Yeah.
that
It really does, like, time starts to become divided.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, not here. It's just like, oh, I walk into the room and I do this type situation, and then like, okay, well, you do that, and then the werewolf that was crawling through the attic heard you, and boom, he jumps down type situation.
I would probably I actually kind of like that idea, only to a certain extent. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
probably do that. I would probably do that for like a single monster, like a single werewolf or something like that. I don't know how I would feel if it was like a pack of werewolves or something like that. Like that might be. I mean, as much as we balk about how combat takes up a lot of time, like I feel like that initiative does provide a good planning
Structure.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, However, I think something like that would be really interesting if it's a situation where, as long as you have players that don't metagame, if it's a situation where, like, okay, you had a player that went and scouted ahead, and a guard spotted them, so now they have to, like, so now they're fighting him, and it's like kind of like that weird silent battle that they're having, because the rogue doesn't want the guard to trip the alarm and stuff like that. So so you can kind of have like a, I wouldn't say initiative, but you kind of have like a sort of soft initiative where it's like, okay, what's the group doing? All right. Oh, well, we're going to be exploring because we have no idea that the
Right.
rogue is fighting for his life. And then, meanwhile, okay, I'm going to roll to attack. All right, the guard gets a good couple hits in. Okay, now you can counterattack, kind of a thing, and then and like have like I said, like a soft initiative.
Right.
Something like that would probably be very interesting. The one thing I don't like, though, and I was actually kind of proud that the group hasn't done this a lot, but it's like, okay, roll for initiative, and then everyone's like, oh no, combat. And even when, like, people that aren't even nowhere near close to combat are like, nope, I have to get my combat skills ready. Like, no, 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 you're not even in the
Right.
same room.
Right.
You're like
Yeah. So far they've been pretty good about that for sure.
hmm and that would be a situation where, if I do have to, like going back to that scenario I said before, I would roll initiative for the guard, the rogue, and then one person to represent the entirety of the group.
Yeah.
You know, So that way, be like, okay, while the group is doing this, the guard is getting his fucking neck stabbed in, and there's like jugular spray, just like it's in my mouth.
Yeah.
Hepatitis.
So the game that he was talking about, actually, I found it. It's called Dungeon World.
Dungeon World.
Yeah. I'll read you a little bit of what he says about it. He says, if you haven't played or run Dungeon World by Sage Latora and Adam Koebel. Oh, Adam Koebel. You really need to at least once. The game itself is pretty bug standard, filled with the classes and all the standard stuff, standard setting. You know the type. But the game is brilliant study in how RPGs are put together on the fundamental level. In fact, the core mechanic of every RPG that every RPG just assumes players and GMs can handle, present a situation, player decides how to respond, resolve action, repeat, is firmly encoded in the game system in a way that makes it completely impossible to fuck it up. Likewise, the basic rules of when to roll dice, when failure and success are both possibles, and when the outcome will actually mean something, are also hard-coded into the system. If you polish up the presentation of Dungeon World, you would have a perfect tool to teach new GMs how to run any RPG. I firmly believe that running a few sessions of Dungeon World will make you a better GM at whatever your go-to game happens to be. But what's most interesting and what's missing from Dungeon World, the combat chapter. And that's the part I want to talk about. And then he goes on about the soft initiative that I was just talking about. How do you generally run combat? You take a couple of turns, you have action economy, how often does the rule result attack, and we have the rules for handling injuries, blah, 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 the regular stuff, right? But what's interesting is by calling out combat in its own chapter and by spelling out those... because this is talking about how, like, it breaks... whenever we roll initiative, it really does break the rest of the game, and so that's why I'm kind of interested. I'm sorry, not break it. It pauses the rest of the world because it does feel like, boom.
It kind of ruins the immersion. I feel.
Yeah.
Like when you say roll for initiative, it really does have that feeling where it's just like, all right, and then you hear like a little weep weep as you're going through the menu for your like abilities.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. It's sad to say, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy combat. I like combat, like in D&D. It's fun still, but yeah, it does do that, and we fall prey into that all the time, and it kind of sucks. And
I mean, there can be moments where you just go, okay, we're gonna get out of initiative real quick because, the guard that you were fighting up in the attic of this castle, like he's running and he's going to get he's going to go get help. So we're not going to wait, we're not going to make everybody agonize as like, okay, the monk is going to do this. Like, no, okay, we're going to break initiative now, and so, and then you can kind of like quickly swap out the gears, in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
God, that really does touch on something where it's just like combat, like all of a sudden, like the players, like the player character's feet get like rooted into the ground, and like they're like just like right there,
and that's why he talks about. He talks about a lot of stuff that I brought up, like the whole like, oh, if there's like 2 monsters left, just it's like if it's obvious that the encounter has gone is one-sided. At that point, just describe how they kill the last 2 monsters right away, which brings us back even faster to the rest of the game, to the immersion of the game.
That can be something. Sorry.
No. As I was gonna say, even before starting the encounter, the whole like, just something as simple as you're saying like they are reaching for their weapons instead of they already grabbed their weapons, gives the idea to the players that they can be like, oh, there's a bunch of different things we can, try to hide. We can try to talk to them. We can, I don't know. I can't think right now. I'm not that creative, but it does give the players a chance to do something before we even roll for actual initiative.
But I mean, when it comes to like the obviously one-sided fight thing, sometimes you want an obviously one-sided fight to kind of like show the players how much they've progressed. But you're right. When it does come down to 2 zombies, it's like, as a DM, you can kind of drop the veil and be like, okay, you guys are obviously going to win this fight.
Right.
How do you guys want to slice and dice up these monsters, kind of a deal? And then the group can kind of come up with, oh, I'm blast it with my fire bolts, and then blah blah blah, and and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And there's other simple things, other stuff like like if there's a group of I came with goblins. If there's a group of goblins that are taking a nap,
It's always goblins.
I know, and they're taking a nap, and you succeed at your dexterity save or dexterity check for stealth, and you're gonna kill them. You kill them.
Yeah,
He makes a good point about the fact that, and I'm talking about the angry DM, that attack rolls are for people who, or AC is for people that, it's for creatures that are obviously have a chance to send up to one of your blows. If somebody's sleeping, you don't need to roll for an attack roll. They're sleeping, and they're dead. You're slipped. I don't care if you're an ogre. If you're sleeping and you manage to stick a knife down his throat and pull it to the side, it's dead. So he mentions that like he's done it to his players a couple of times when he's like, he just says like, oh, you kill all 5 goblins, and the players are just kind of like, wait, what? Because they succeeded in their stealth check, and it makes sense, and I've done it earlier in my DMing career, quote unquote, my DMing life, I've done that. They do the stealth thing, and then they roll, but they don't kill it all. They don't do the damage roll all the way. So that the goblin wakes up, and all the other goblins wakes up. And now looking back, I realized that I kind of like ruined the moment for those players because they tried really hard to get to the goblins silently and kill them.
Now, what you can do to sort of like kind of salvage that situation that you were just talking about, like maybe. Like, yeah, you stab the goblin, but then the goblin's like, like choking on his blood and stuff like that, and then that wakes the other goblins up or something like that.
And that could be like maybe the check was 17 and they roll a 16, so that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. But it kind of that actually. Okay, I know I talked about Sekiro a lot, but here we go. But that actually because for anyone that's unfamiliar, Sekiro is like a combat game, but also has a really strong stealth element. And the funny thing about it is that like if you stealth up to an enemy, it does not matter how strong they are in actual combat. If you stealth up to an enemy and manage to hit them without them seeing you, they're fucking dead. Like if you go toe to toe with one enemy, it might be a long drawn out like 12-minute battle. But if you go up to that same enemy and you go around and you stay out of their eyesight and you attack them, they're dead. So I mean, exactly. So that just it makes a lot of sense that like why wouldn't a rogue who has like it's that would be something that's just like like you said, you made your stealth check, they're dead, fuck it. Right. Like why not, you're a rogue, and plus that makes the players feel like more capable, oh crap, I did that. I single-handedly took out like a squad. Yeah, you stab the goblin as it's like slowly reaching for like a portrait of its family, like it's like a goblin wife and a little goblin son on its knee, and it's like that weird like Victorian era picture where like they're grim looking and they're just kind of facing the camera. What have I done? What have I done?
I swear to never kill me. I swear to never kill again.
I know my character's chaotic neutral, but I'm actually lawful good.
Jesus. Oh man. Well, yeah.
I'm gonna take care of your family. And then you adopt a goblin family.
You said I'm 10% of all your gainings.
It's just anonymous. Just like the little goblin's like, "Mommy, where does this gold come from?" and he's just like, and the goblin mom's like, "Oh, I don't know. Hopefully your dad's coming home soon."
Oh God!
Can't wait to tell about all this gold we've been getting.
Oh my cheeks! Jesus, that turned so dark so quick.
Anyways, that's a good way to make combat in the story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel just because of time, I feel like we touch on a lot of things that can make combat interesting. Because at the end of the day, we're human, and sometimes one of the sessions that we run, we're just tired. You know what I mean? And we fall into the hole of like, okay, you guys hit. Okay, he's dead. Okay, we move on to the next.
Right. And I feel like the mechanics of 5e, like if you like strip the narrative, the mechanics of 5e are very all right. You know, like it's very okay, you hit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
definitely. So yes. Different ways to make combat interesting. Use your surroundings. Give the players a chance to even just skip combat altogether. It could make for a memorable moment by like killing all the goblins by just sitting on a stealth check, you know,
or by role playing it really well.
Role playing it really well. Yeah, exactly. You know, stagger your enemies. Don't show them all at once. You know, one of them might be in the bathroom.
Yeah. Floosh.
That scene from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, exactly. All the dead goblins, and you just hear a toilet flushing, and just a goblin walks out with an Uzi. Just for some fucking reason. but I mean, and another thing, before we, because I think I know what you're going to talk about next.
By the way, hold on, Kevin. Kevin just joined us. Yes, Kevin, you missed a lot. It's okay. We are streaming our episode
Surprise!
a little late because this weekend was a little busy for me, so we weren't able to. But don't worry, it will go up just like usual. But thank you for joining us. We haven't talked about session highlights, so that's gonna be a fun one. Anyways, Andrew, finish your thought.
I feel like that's what you were going to talk about.
Yeah.
But like another thing is like, we talked a lot about like player effects on monsters, but I think one thing we should also talk about like the size difference of monsters versus the players.
Yeah.
Because one thing that always bothered me is like, okay, I know I use dragons a lot. Well, you know, well, fuck it. We'll talk about giants. Okay, so, but it doesn't make sense to me that like a giant will swing a club, hit a gnome wizard, and that gnome wizard stays exactly where it was when it got hit. Mm-hmm. You know, like a fucking weeble wobble. Like no, I'm sorry if you're a little like 3'2" like probably 40 pounds soaking wet gnome wizard, and you get hit by a stone giant club, your ass is going like fucking Team Rocket.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's not just only that. Like, make sure that the players are aware of how big an ogre is versus a dwarf, for example. And I have a perfect example for this one. And it doesn't have to be like you said, like a mechanical thing or it gets pushed back or anything like that, but like add more flavor to it. And like one time, one of my players, all my players were attacking an ogre. And something led to the fact that like the dwarf went to rescue somebody that was being held by the ogre. So they make it there to rescue him, but then the person that the ogre was holding slashes the ogre belly, killing it. Right? And then jumps off. And I described it as like this belly opened and all of the hot guts from inside the ogre falls on the dwarves that were trying to rescue this other person. And the ogre falls on top of him, but the dwarf is so tiny that his crutch just misses it. And he's just standing there after all the dust settles, and he's just covered in all kinds of gross shit from this ogre.
Blood and viscera. And just,
little things like that, you know?
But I mean, like, if you even want to take it a step further, like, okay, the stone giant whacks the wizard. Not only is he going to be taking, like, what is it, like 2d12 bludgeoning from but okay, and then what's the trajectory of the wizard? Oh, it hits a tree, boom, that's another 2d6 fall damage because you know, like we talked about it off air, but I'm like, I want to introduce launching rules to 5e because I mean it just doesn't make sense.
It makes total right. It makes total sense for that to be a thing, like you just said, like a fucking giant hits a gnome. That he's hitting a soccer ball.
Yeah. If that giant hits the gnome, and all of a sudden it's just like if I would be more scared of the giant if the gnome just fucking tanks it and like no self hit. You know?
Yeah. Then what we talked about earlier, the giant's like, "Fuck, I can't win this fight. I'm done. Sorry guys, they don't pay me enough for this."
there's obviously something up to this. Like, this is a polymorph silver dragon or something.
I'm a giant. I'm not scared of many things, but that thing scares me. And it's just a gnome.
It's terrifying. Yeah, a little tiny gnome. But then it's like, oh well, Andrew, that's not fair. You can't be doing that to your players. No, because there are certain classes that could do that too.
Right.
The biggest one is the Way of the Open Hand Monk, where one of the attacks launches the opponent 15 feet. So it's like, okay, if it's in like a grass plains, okay, you launch the opponent 15 feet, there's no damage. But if it's like in a bar setting, like there's tables, there's chairs, there's the actual bar itself, like that dude's gonna go flying. He's gonna be taking a lot more extra bludgeoning damage because all of a sudden he's gonna be clearing out a lot of the room.
And also think about it, just because of just that simple attack and that description of what the character is hitting, it gives so much more body to the setting, to where you're standing. Yeah. You know, it's not just an upper float plan.
Yeah, it lets your players like feel better about their ability. It lets their players be more aware of their surroundings. So you're like, hey, wait a minute. If I use this setting, or if depending on the setting, this move can really pay off. You know, and plus it makes combat a lot cooler because like, okay, it's one thing to hit a guy, but it's another thing to Shaolin kick a guy through a bar window and he takes an extra slashing damage because
the glass broke.
The glass got him on the way out. Like that, it's
the gnome is that big and the piece of glass is almost the size of him.
Yeah.
Are you okay there, Oren? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all right. So I mean, it's just little things. It's like, and really, is that extra D6 of bludgeoning from fall damage or the extra D6 of slashing damage? Is that really going to make that much of a difference? If it's like,
for the wizard,
for a fact. Oh well, I'm talking about if it's like player versus the monsters and the players are the ones doing the extra.
Right.
Like, is that really going to make that much of a difference if you know for a fact they're going to win this fight? If it's like the first fight, except if it's Avernus. If it's like the first fight in a campaign, like yeah, like I said, unless it's Avernus, bad example. But if it's like the first fight in a campaign, like, okay, we kind of know we're going to win this fight, so let's kind of show off what we can do.
Right.
Out the window you go. So I mean, it's just it pretty much what it boils down to is, like I said, as a DM, think about it, and you're like, okay, what would naturally happen from this from this attack,
or naturally,
yeah, well,
Vesemir maybe coming up, rushing through the stairs and push a hag out the window.
Well, but and then you're like, you guys got 3 fucking rounds. I'm gonna do it again.
A 3-story high window survived that shit while
you could fly. Why are you running?
My players were like, not my players. The rest of the party was like, you have wings. You don't have to fall with a hag. And I'm like, no. I put my knee on her face and I just.
No, I want to build up the speed. I want to feel it.
Yeah, and then they were taking too long with the other hack, and I'm like, you guys have 3 rounds, I'll make it up there.
All right, that's it. We're doing this again. Here comes the pain train, baby.
But that made it so much more fun, and people remember that shit,
Yeah.
You had a lizard folk out the window flying and got shut with like ice ray or whatever the fuck that was.
Oh yeah, I can take it. I can't take it. But I mean, it's just you kind of have to remember the rule of cool kind of works both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think personally, if it were me, if I was the one in the party that's fighting a huge monster and I see it whack the fucking like spellcaster away, I'd be like, oh my fucking god. Just like a fly, and I only see the spellcaster just like in the horizon. That would make the fight much more memorable than just a big old sack of hit points that does bludgeoning damage back to you.
And then once they kill the giant, the spellcaster. Are you guys done?
What did I miss?
He has the pain.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh shit! I can't be doing that anymore. I can't fucking.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So yes,
Pulls out a little inhaler.
I'm good.
Give me a second. I just
I'm
need
good.
to.
I'm not heavy breathing. Just you guys keep talking. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
He's trying really hard not to sound like he's struggling.
He's like, so guys, how was that fight?
Yeah. He's never done a single day of like physical training.
Oh man, that was a bad day for cardio, man.
Oh, okay. So we talked about how we think making a combat more interesting, which should be a bunch of different ways. We've already been talking for an hour about that. But Andrew, let's move to the segment that we have forgotten about for the past two episodes.
Sorry, I was yawning.
Session highlights.
Oh, I thought we were gonna talk about the news. Okay.
No, not news.
There is no news.
Fake news.
I mean, they might be doing away with alignment in Candlekeep Mysteries. I've heard. Isn't that true?
No, I haven't seen.
Or maybe. I heard they might be doing away with alignment, like for monsters.
Oh.
That's just what I heard.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. Anyways.
Anyways.
Session highlights. All right. So, my session don't say anything yet. My session highlight can be described with 2 words. Infernal Camel.
Yes.
Okay. So,
oh my god.
Armando, if you're listening, thanks, man. Thanks for the memories. Okay, so we're in Avernus. We're in hell. And we reached an area that has like fire tornadoes. Like actual fucking fire tornadoes. And the rest of us are like, okay, well, we're in our little air glider thing. We'll just go through it with that. And Armando's like, nope, I'm going to use the spell Find Steed. And he says it. The thing that got me off guard was just how, like, matter of fact he says it. He says, I'm going to cast Find Steed. I'm going to get myself an Infernal Camel. And I'm just like, fucking what? It's just Infernal.
I remember I was like, oh, okay, because I was already thinking of the token of when Homeboy used to summon the horse. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just pull that. And I had to like do a double take. Like, wait, what? A camel?
So it just made me think of like a camel, but it's like black and there's like red crackling like magma around it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I imagined it too. Yeah. It's like an angry camel.
It's the fact that he had obviously he read the entire spell description, so good on him for doing that. And he's like, nope, Infernal Camel. That's what we're going for because it's a desert, it's infernal, and you kind of like not really implied, but he sort of assumed based off the encounters that like infernal creatures are either immune or resistant to fire. So he's like, I got this in the bag. and so we set out. He's like, hey, you guys want to race? And so we set out, and a fire tornado hits him, and his camel's fucking dead. Just
like triple the damage.
Just like galloping through the fire tornado, and he comes out the other side, and he's like riding a roasted turkey. Like it's just...
And then he just stands up and he's like, "Man, that didn't go as planned."
So he said, and we're like on the horizon by that time. So he just has to walk the rest of the way, like around these fire tornadoes and stuff. And it's so funny. The thing that's really funny to me about it was how serious he was about the entire thing. Like he had thought it through, he had a plan, and his character is like this edgy, like try hard dark character, and he just gets wiped out by a flaming tornado. We're just like, that's we're like riding away into the sunset.
What kills me is the fact that so these are the rules. Pulling back the curtain. It was if you were in a war machine, all you had to do was like a perception check, very low or whatever, and then if you pass it, you make it all the way through, no problem. You know, the sand glider is technically a war machine.
Yeah.
If you were on foot, you had to make like 7 dexterity checks or something to avoid the. So when he said that he was not gonna go on the sand glider, I'm like, oh no. Oh no!
You're gonna make me do this, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I just made him do one because I knew he was gonna fail. It's a fucking camel. I guess he didn't read the part that said that it retains all the all the stats of a camel. Yeah, they could be fiend or whatever, but it's still just statistics of a camel. And camels are not immune to fire.
It's the fact that it's so weird because he's like in any other like actual setting, this would make sense. It's a desert. Camels are very proficient at crossing the desert,
and they're very fast.
Yeah, they're very fast. That was actually something where like, wait, a camel has a minus to a dex score in this game. Like that's weird. Anyways, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a double camel because that's going to be the perfect thing to traverse it. And he should be right. By all accounts, he should have been okay. But the stats just weren't with him on that one. Yep. It's like, oh man, Armando, I give you credit, dude, for like thinking outside the box. But it's like,
hey, I made it into a highlight, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had our moment where we had to eat shit.
Yeah.
So mine was the very start of this campaign. So
my session highlight was, and I don't think we've talked about this yet, was at the beginning of not last session or the session before that, but the one before that, where you guys are like, oh, let's go. You're on the overworld map, and there's like a picture of like a devil, a really big devil. No, let's go to this devil and see what's up over here. Because I gave you guys control of the token, of the map token, for the first and last time.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm gonna take this away now.
I was like, you guys can move the token, and wherever you go, that's where you guys are gonna go. And you guys were like, let's go. There's this big devil here. What's gonna be like? And then like you guys like moved it back. And no. You're gonna go to this devil now.
And what did I say?
Yeah. And here I am. I'm setting up because I wasn't ready for this encounter. I'm setting up like a basic like platoon encounter. I was like, okay, blah blah blah.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Okay.
Here you go. It's gonna be at least a decent, half decent fight, right? I guess it's not that bad. The group is going on a sand glider towards this, what they see as a really big devil with wings, kind of like marching behind a row of like, I think it was like 6 bearded devils, right?
It was like a rank and file.
Yeah, it's like smaller ones, right? Yeah. And from afar, they don't know what's happening, but you know they see the enemies and they're gonna go for it. And Quintessa is like, okay, guys, I'm just gonna rush it, and then I'm gonna drift, and you guys can like,
we're gonna tear ass into this platoon.
So you guys, and I'm like, yes, that's true. I'm ready. It's not gonna be a surprise round. They're gonna see it coming. Roll for initiative. Quintessence go first. I'm like, fuck. And shit. So she goes to her, turns or drifts with the sand glider, and all you see is Andrew's character Karpak just like launches himself from the back of the sand glider with his fucking halberd, and like fucking slashes this guy, and the bigger one like a nice little, I don't know, it was like 25 hit points. And then the samurai does the same thing and gets a good hit in there. Even the wizard like Gatling gun spells at it. Anyways, in less than a round, they pretty much take down the big guy. What happens here, however, is the fact that I'm like, okay, this is not going my way, so I'm gonna make him feel bad about it.
Yeah, that was. We were so innocent during that particular round. We aged so quickly.
They're all fighting this thing, and before he even gets his first hit, they kill him. And I describe it as he goes down onto one knee, and then he just says, "I was just one day away from retirement," and dies in front of you.
And they were all like, "Oh wow, really, Jose? Wow."
But then the bearded devils are left over, and the wizard's like, "I'm gonna cast," which I didn't even know that spell. What was it? It's like a shining light or whatever the fuck, which made
it was like radiant gas or something like that. Hold on, I'll look it up.
It made like a dome that everything inside of it had to like make a Constitution saving throw, or like this acid damage starts, like, you know, they start taking the acid damage, something like that. So he does that, And the bitter devils, as they see their leader go down, freak the fuck out. Like, ah! They start running all over the place. And essentially describe it as they were just like training their first day in their army, in the blood war army. And like Andrew kills one of them. I'm like, when you kill this one, you see in their hand a small locket with the shape of a heart. When you open it,
there's like a female bearded devil inside. It's sickening radiance.
Sickening radiance. And while all this is happening, Quintessence is going in the fucking in the perimeter of this dome of acid with Orin, and Orin's just doing more spells or whatever. And like one devil tries to fly out, and Quintessence is like, oh no, it wasn't. It tries to fly out, and then I think Crad shoots it down, hits it, almost kills it, and makes it like fall on the floor. It rolls in front of the sand glider as it's coming, and Quintessence is like, should I stop? And I'm like, do you want to stop? And they're like, no, and they just kill that guy. It's just complete mayhem, scream, agony, pain. It's essentially like mustard gas inside of this dome. That's what I'm describing.
So it was like in my mind, because I want you to understand it from a player's perspective. So in my mind, like Quintessence like pulls the e-brake on the sand glider, and we get launched off, and you hear like the music like start playing as we like start like slashing into this guy, like, yeah, we're gonna start fighting. And then Orin's like, I'm gonna cast Sickening Radiance, and then the music just stops, and it's just like here's like and like all the devils are like looking around like they're melting from the spell and stuff like that. And one of them, like, I remember one comes out to my character, he's like, oh god, I don't want to die. I'm like, I'm too young to die. And I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god.
I describe it as her skin is like falling off, and like one of them is like, oh my god, Billy died. It was his first day of training.
Yeah, and one's like cradling the other one's like, don't you leave me. Don't you.
And one of them was like, I described it was trying to dig through the sand so he could breathe, like filter out the acid. One of those hands was like sticking out with like the locket.
I very distinctly, the one that comes up to me and just starts begging, like, I give this to my wife. Like, I'm just like,
I remember saying,
oh my fucking god, what have we done?
And the reaction of the players was priceless, because you guys were like, yeah, it's fun. And like halfway through, I turned off the fighting music, and it was just silence, and you guys were just like, what the fuck did we just do?
I don't know. that really, like afterwards, we were like, all right, we're never talking about this again.
And the best part is that they had to go to Bell's forge, and the guy that they killed worked for Bell. Yeah, and when they get there, it's when they get there, they're like, oh yeah, we have this. I don't know what the question was, but like essentially the information came out that like, oh, we had this retirement party for one of our commanders that's about to retire, but he never came back from training.
There's cake in the break room.
He kept coming up like naturally, and you guys would just like get really tense, like don't say anything.
Just and it's like, it's funny because like Crad was the only one that was like, whatever, fuck devils.
Yeah.
And we're just like, man, they were just doing their job.
They were just training.
And that really was like a moment of like, what happened?
Are we the baddies?
Like, it really was. You described it perfectly as like the white phosphorus scene from Spec Ops: The Line, where it's like, no, we're the villains now. Yeah.
I never felt so proud as a DM when it ripped the joy of your faces. Just like, this stuff you do have consequences. Just because they're devils doesn't mean they don't feel things.
Or like they wouldn't beg for their lives and stuff like that.
Hey, look at that! Make combat interesting.
I mean, this is true. It was definitely, out of all of the combat I've had with my new character so far, it's the most memorable one.
Yeah, because your character's like a nice guy, and he was like, "What have we done?"
Jesus Christ.
Meanwhile, the Oathbreaker pilot's like, yeah, fuck this guy. Like, plotting.
And I'm over like retching in the corner, like, it's just like this fucking melting devil like right in front of me.
It was a mess. It was so good. Oh, that's also a highlight. If you want to watch the encounter on our Twitch channel.
I remember like I disengaged from combat. Like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my turn throwing up.
And that's what we're doing. That like I think one of the devils like flew out past Crad, and Crad is just like,
yeah, he's just like killing all these devils as they're coming out. I'm like, stop it! Stop it! This isn't a fight. This is murder.
It turns so. What I love is that it wasn't like right now we're like joking about it and shit, but like during the encounter it got so quiet.
It got really tense for a second, and there was like a lot of people like there was a good amount of people being like, we should probably stop.
Crad was having a good time.
But then like,
by the way, this beer is terrible.
Is it really?
Yeah, I did not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was. Somebody out there might, but I don't like it. But yeah, it was. Kevin says devils have feelings too, lols.
I guess so. Yeah, there was a retirement party. They never came back though. I remember the retirement party was like it got like sort of jury rigged into a promotion party.
A promotion party. That's right. For the devil the other devil that helped you guys.
Yeah. So it was like happy retirement, but gets scratched out as like promotion written underneath it.
Kevin, I know you're about to run this. Just remember, and I think you know what I'm talking about in the book. That one section, that one paragraph that says, and I can't say it out loud because my players are probably going to listen to this, but do it. And stuff like this really drives the point that you are in hell. And things that you do for as good as in a regular campaign would be, oh, you kill a bunch of devils, so cool. Make them feel bad about it. It's like the best thing. It's what Avernus really is for, to make you feel bad.
I mean, there were a lot of moments where like my character was like kind of moody after a certain situation, but this was the only time where I was in sync with my character in terms of like, I'm not talking about this ever again. Like this is a badge of shame for me.
Is there any? I know it's been a while since we talked about session highlights. Is there been another one?
Not that I can think of.
Did we talk about Lulu's version?
Oh.
Dude, that one took me by surprise because I didn't do the math. Kevin says, I'm not sure I remember that paragraph or I can't think of it at the moment. If you have time, message me please later about it. I'll send. I know exactly where it says. It's towards the beginning. I'll send it to you. It's very small. So the Lulu thing, man, it was like you guys were doing. Maybe we did talk about it. The diving test. Did we talk about it?
I really don't think we did. I don't feel like we did.
Okay, so one of the parts, this devil kind of like, hey, I'm working on this diving bell. I need some test subjects. It's like a mini game type thing, but then it turns into a battle eventually. And it's pretty standard, the one of the players saves the other ones from the diving bell, so they all start fighting, whatever. The fight is going really well until at one point, one of the creatures that they were fighting takes a bite off of Lulu. And Lulu fucking dies. And it's not like, oh, she took -1 health. No, she took her full health twice of damage.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh shit, I can't do anything about this. And like, it's kind of late. Nobody had a diamond or anything. And not necessarily a highlight, but like, I never seen my player so fucking sad. Even Quintessence Heather was like, you always do this to us. You make us fall in love with a creature and then kill it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it this time.
This wasn't intentional.
No.
Got the math wrong.
Oh no. Anyway, so for the past like 3 or so sessions, they've gone without their lively and ever so happy companion, Lulu.
And it's so funny because like the start of the next session, we're like, okay, we're gonna gather up her remains and we're gonna resurrect her, and you're like, nope, she disappears in a blinding flash of light, and we're like, no.
Yeah. She fades into a bunch of fireflies. Some bullshit like that.
God damn it, it's beautiful.
Oh man, it's been. I've had a blast in Avernus.
I don't know how I feel right now.
Last session you missed it, Andrew, but it was essentially just two big encounters, really. So you didn't really miss too much like development when it came to that. They finally made it to the scab, Kevin, which I described it as a scab, like an actual literal like bloody scab. It's gross.
I can't believe there's a location in Avernus called the Scab. like it's not called like the Abscess or
no, the Scab.
It's the Scab.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? Do you have any news? Anything you want to share?
No, I don't have any news that I know of. Was there news?
The only thing that I saw recently was I haven't kept up because I got a new job. I don't work at cool stuff anymore, so I don't got the insider information. But which I never did. But I was always late for the news. But the latest one was the latest one was just the fairies and the bunnies and all that stuff. I don't think there's been anything new.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a survey about those classes if anybody's played them.
No.
So there's that. But yeah, if you're in Florida, you can pre-register for your vaccine starting April 5th if you're 18 and over.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, you can pre-register right now. Yeah. It's Florida myvaccine.fl.gov if you're in Florida. If you're not, I don't know. I barely knew about this one, so but yeah, I think that's all for this episode, Andrew. Unless you have anything else you wanna say.
No, I don't have anything else. I think that pretty much wraps it up in a nice little bow.
Yes. Making combat fun.
Okay, so we finally actually started planning our episodes instead of being like, all right, we're gonna record. What are we gonna talk about? Oh yeah, that's right. So do you kind of want to give a little preview of what we're going to be talking about next?
Why not? Here we feel so productive. We have a spreadsheet.
We have spreadsheets.
So after this episode, we're going to talk about giants, and then after that, we have one about beholders, and then after that, episode 42, homebrews, in parentheses, not beer.
Yeah. Well. Oh, for that one, we have to get a beer kit. So that way it'd be like, oh, what's your beer today? It's mine.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Man. Well, fine, I'm gonna do that.
After the one for homebrew, we're gonna talk about factions and cults of the Forgotten Realms, and then after that, we're gonna talk about large scale format combat.
Large scale format.
Combat.
Font 72.
And then the last one we have planned is a day in the life of a 1/8 CR commoner.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like they just wake up, they're going about their business, and they're just like on the rooftop, like, ching, 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 ching. It's like, goddamn adventurers, raising the price, or like raising
the roofing company's making a killing, but it's killing me.
Raising the price of real estate.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun talk. If you guys have any ideas for episodes that you want to listen to us ramble about, send us a message, man.
Yeah, exactly. If you have any idea about what you want us to talk about, or if you want some input on what we are going to be talking about, go ahead. Yeah. Like send us.
Yeah.
Send us something.
Or if you just want to tell us that you hate our voices, you can do that too.
I mean, I do. So that's fine.
Wow.
I mean, my voice. So.
Oh, okay. Because my voice is beautiful and soothing, isn't it, Andrew?
No.
Wow.
The CR 1/8 commoner. I should have invested in a rope. Every adventurer has 50 feet of rope.
Yeah, for reals.
You're making a killing off a rope.
Yes. So we actually have plans for the future, you know? Another reason not to kill myself.
Look at wow. Jesus Christ. You were talking about me getting dark.
Your reaction was great.
Just gee, that's something that's I that's in line of what you normally say. I didn't expect you to say it on air.
I just to clarify, I don't normally say that. Okay, I don't. No, I'm good.
You text me every night. See you on the other side.
No, I don't. Shut up, Andrew. Suicide is not a joke, guys. If you ever have a friend who is showing signs, talk to them, reach out.
Why the fuck? Wait,
I'm an asshole, okay? I just wanted to say something nice. I didn't want to leave it at that. That's all.
Remember, mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
True.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but with that nice PSA, we're gonna leave you guys. I hope you had a good time. Thank you, Kevin, for joining again. Sad that you were only here towards the last of it, but you can probably listen to the whole thing tomorrow, or after we're done with this, you can just rewind because we live in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but everybody that listened to us, thank you so much again for lending us your ears. Make sure to give us a follow, a like, and if you want to be notified of when we go live, click that bell on Facebook and Twitch. They both have it. It's not just YouTube.
And let us know. How do you like it? How do you not like it?
Yeah.
Are you disappointed in us? Why?
And
why?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, we know you're disappointed. We want to know why.
Yeah. I want some feedback. Constructive criticism.
We have to. Yeah, we have to. We want to be better. We promise. But in all seriousness, I hope you guys had a good time. And remember, we're not gonna have a D&D stream this weekend. I mean, this week, tomorrow. Instead, you're gonna get just a couple highlights from me, because life gets in the way. But we'll be back next week on Twitch.
Just imagine it's an episode where all of the characters are like trapped in the freezer and they're like reminiscing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, remember that time we committed war crimes?
It's this filler episode, yeah.
It's the flashback episode.
Yeah. The characters get to know each other a little bit better.
Remember that time we all died in the first combat and Carbach's like, I actually wasn't there, so no.
Oh man. But yeah, so again, thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful night, a wonderful rest of your weekend. And remember, if you're in Florida, you can start vaccinating April 5th.
Yeah, get vaccinated.
And
get in line.
You can pre-register right now at myvaccine.florida.gov.
I know I am. I'm doing that actually right now, like legitimately right now as we're talking.
There you go. And with that, we're going to leave you guys. You'll have wonderful rest of your week and keep on gaming. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. I got to finish. I gotta